mysticism are still alive in the wilderness and in our rural areas, not in the city. The skunk ape does not want to do anything in the city. The skunk ape likes the rural areas or the wilderness. Now, the tall man or the tall hairy man has been historically in Florida since our early indigenous peoples were here. The idea that the mystical skunk ape somehow will protect us or keep us safe or keep the wilderness safe is a nice thing to think about. But our skunk ape, he does not wish people ill will. He just exists and represents this kind of masculinity or this kind of protection in the wilderness.
Kembali lagi di Horor Podcast episode yang ke-17, Sweet 17. Mungkin ini perlu kita rayakan ini sebagai edisi yang spesial juga. Di Horor Podcast pada hari ini ada dua tamu nih. Yang pertama Pak Bruce, itu adalah kebetulan mertua saya yang tinggal di St. Petersburg di Florida. Dan kemudian juga ada Rahma yang berada di Semarang. Dan Danisa, terima kasih juga banyak sebagai co-host. Pada edisi kali ini kami akan menceritakan pengalaman atau yang pernah kita dengar terhadap beberapa sosok. Dan nanti yang akan diceritakan dari Pak Bruce ini nanti adalah soal mungkin ada yang menyebut skunk ape, ada yang menyebut Bigfoot, terus ada yang menyebut Sasquatch. Apa perbedaannya? Lalu bagaimana kalau ini yang ada di Indonesia mungkin agak seperti genderuwo, atau mungkin di tempat-tempat lain memiliki bentuk yang berbeda dan juga mungkin ada memiliki cerita yang berbeda pula. Baik, pada edisi Horor Podcast episode ke-17 ini sebelum kami mulai, silakan Danisa untuk memulainya. Nanti kita akan bisa berbahasa dan juga pakai bahasa Inggris. Monggo silakan untuk beri introduksinya.
Okay, thank you, Mas Garner. I am a little bit nervous because this is my very first time I speak in English on the podcast. Okay, so first let me introduce for the first guest. There is Miss Rahma. Hello, Miss Rahma. Yeah, Miss Rahma. Yeah, Miss Rahma is my English teacher, and the second guest is Pak Bruce. Yeah, Pak Bruce is Mas Garna's father-in-law. So for the first story, maybe can start with Pak Bruce.
When I traveled to Semarang, I heard of your hairy man, with the red eyes, the beady red eyes. And Garda explained to me that when children were playing in the evening and the prayer came over the loudspeakers, that the children were to run home because they may be grabbed by this mystical hairy man creature with the beady red eye. And so I was very happy to hear that was something that existed in Semarang as well as Florida. So in Florida, we have the hairy man in the wilderness, and it's very important to emphasize the part of the wilderness. This is a mystical creature who lives with family. They are typically going to be taller than humans, but they're part of the more primitive idea of the wilderness. The wilderness in our area has been challenged by civilization. And so one of the things that's important about the hairy man in Florida is that we still have wilderness areas that need to be protected. I know this is a horror podcast, but our hairy man is called a skunk ape. And skunk ape is because you can smell before you see this mystical hairy creature. It smells like a wet dog met a skunk, and the skunk sprayed the dog. It's a horrible smell. And so supposedly, if you smell this smell, some people can even just pass out from fear just of the smell. So the skunk ape is, I would say it's a cousin of Bigfoot. Maybe not quite as tall. And we have a place in Florida which is the largest. It's called the Everglades. It's a massive area where in southern Florida is very much wilderness. And of course, Florida is known for alligators and snakes. And we have a lot of wildlife in Florida that is still out there and still in our wilderness. But the skunk ape, his history is there's been many sightings, and the skunk ape it does not intimidate. It travels in groups. It's not. I mean, it's scary because it smells bad and it's a big, hairy, mystical creature, but it doesn't have any intentions of something negative toward humans. The skunk ape is just a part of this idea of that our wilderness and our mysticism are still alive in the wilderness and in our rural areas, not in the civilized. The skunk ape does not want to do anything in the city. The skunk ape likes the rural areas or the wilderness. Now, the tall man or the tall hairy man has been historically in Florida since our early indigenous peoples were here. The stories going back to them, and our history in Florida is very poor related to the native Floridians. They were warred against, they were forced to leave, and many of them were forced to live in the wilderness areas or in the areas that no one was allowed to, or that was hard to live, and no one would go to live there. And so our Native American cultures were forced into these wilderness areas, similar to where this mystical skunk ape would possibly exist. Now, of course, with Garna, we love to talk about paranormal and mystical ideas and creatures, and it brings on a lot of ideas that increase our magical thinking. And so magical thinking is, I believe, and this is just my Pop Bruce's experience, I believe some people have magical thinking. And so when he told me about the hairy man with the beady red eyes that would why the children needed to run home in time for their parents, I felt strongly that was a similar story to our skunk ape, and the native peoples of Florida, they allowed the belief to this mystical creature is also protecting the wilderness. And so in today's age, because of the civilization encroaching on all of our wilderness as it's done without any regards, the idea that the mystical skunk ape somehow will protect us or keep us safe or keep the wilderness safe is a nice thing to think about. But our skunk ape, he does not wish people ill will. He just exists and represents this kind of masculinity or this kind of protection in the wilderness. Now, of course, the sightings similar to Bigfoot, the giant feet. We have plenty of these places in Florida. There's tourism very embedded in everything we do. It's a lot about tourism. That's a big money thing. So a lot of places we have are defending the skunk ape, talking about the sightings. Most of it is photography or video that's real shaky or very blurry or a cast of a foot or a story that's shared, but it's, that as far as having the actual proof, even one Floridian said that they did one with their car and they had fur on their bumper or hair on their bumper, which is, it's just it builds into this idea of the myth of this large creature who can exist in an area where a lot of civilization is and still not be seen. So the skunk ape may even have abilities to be seen or not be seen. And so there's also a specialness to the fact if you see him, maybe that is something that is a gift, that you are able to see something that's no one else has ever seen before. As we, and then of course I get to benefit from my love of the skunk ape. So I get Father's Day card like gifts that are, similar to some of the pictures or photos that you might have seen in these different places where they're trying to prove that the cousin of Bigfoot or that Bigfoot actually exists. And I think, again, it comes back to me to, are you someone who believes in magical thinking? Do you believe that, what you think can be true just because you think it? And to me, that can be a gift. And and that's just my opinion.
When do you heard about this? When did this start? This story, and then how this is affect to the people, and then they believe it, and then when they believe it, they see them. Somehow they can, if they believe it, they can see. So what do you think?
So I believe that I was born in the 1960s, and so very early, the idea of Sasquatch, skunk ape, and of course the Bigfoot is probably the most common name, was existing, and mostly it was heard about in frozen areas in the high mountains, very cold, snowy areas. And of course, in American mythology, the skunk ape, we have a movie, Harry and the Hendersons, and that's about a skunk ape and a family. And we have, we have a lot of representations in our movies, like, for example, if you watch Star Wars, Chewbacca would be something that we would consider to be someone very similar or another cousin to the Sasquatch or the skunk ape or the Yeti. But I believe that the number of sightings increased through the 1950s and 60s. But it was very interesting for me to discover that in Florida, many of the counties in Florida are not cities. They're rural areas. And so in many of these counties that are more wilderness, they report sightings. And so it's over 50% of the counties in Florida have this kind of sightings since that time, or even more recently in these recent years. I like what you said about whether if you believe, then you can see, or if you see, then you might believe. But again, I like the thought that it's some of us are mystical, magical thinkers, and that it makes us happy to think, that there's a tall, hairy guy that's kind of making it through the woods, and he's kind of having to do it on it, with his family, and not really has to deal with, everyday life.
Yeah, it's really just looks like a Bigfoot, like a big, like if you, some people, if you see it on internet, and then that's the idea about like how this hairy thing, why hairy? Why they have red eyes? Why they have like, sometimes they big, sometimes they are like, maybe this is far so we cannot see the specific, the size. What do you think about you, Danisa? Do you remind about something story about this skunk ape?
Okay. Yeah, that is remind me about Gendruwo ya. Even itu a little bit different because the Bigfoot is more like apes, but genderuwo is more scary, I think, because they have black hairish bodies and big and tall and messy hair and red eyes and sharp teeth and sharp claws too. And sometimes they live in the dark place, maybe in a place full of trees or in the pokoknya di tempat-tempat gelap lah biasanya. Biasanya kalau untuk genderuwo itu disturbing secara seksual ya. Biasanya mereka ada di kamar mandi ya, dan suka mengintip. Biasanya korbannya itu perempuan. Biasanya, usually. Dan memang ya, dan genderuwo itu maybe this is not my own experience but my friend's experience. Yang rumahnya itu konon katanya dekat dengan sarang genderuwo. Ya, sama mungkin seperti Bigfoot, have horrible smells, and genderuwo
What is the smell of genderuwo?
Like boiled potatoes.
Okay.
Sometimes like a trash or like like that.
Oh, like a rotten potato. Rotten potato.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
potato.
Is that have a same thing too, Pak Bruce, with the skunk apes? What's the smell?
Okay, so the skunk in our part of the world is a small kind of a ferret animal that when it is in fear, it sprays a pungent smell and a spray onto the creature that it's afraid of. So the skunk smell is an extreme wilderness pungency that you can't replicate. I mean, it would have to be. And then again, kind of compared to, I like the idea of the potatoes, but it's way worse. It's like you would have to go somewhere else to even get clean, and you would be horrible.
Wow.
The other thing, though, I wanted to ask you is, in Indonesia, does see in our pictures and photos and all whatever, the discussion is the skunk ape or the Bigfoot is always running away. They're not confronting. So in Indonesia, is there a confrontation with these claws and this teeth and everything? Is that something that can be like? Would it attack someone? Because that's different.
But do you think that is have you got from Pak Bruce question? Are they attack or they are like the genderuwo? Dia tuh mengganggu nggak? Menyerang nggak? Are they attack?
Sometimes
Yeah?
genderuwo bisa melalui mimpi nightmare ya, melalui mimpi, atau kadang juga ada orang yang diperkosa bahkan sama genderuwo konon katanya. Seperti mimpi aja sih, tiba-tiba capek gitu, seperti habis melakukan aktivitas seksual padahal enggak sama sekali.
Itu sama seperti apa ya, kayak yang apa sebutannya, yang apa, tindihan juga, apakah juga salah satunya? Sleep paralysis,
Kalau menurut
kemudian
menurut
dalam
temanku ya pernah,
pasti seperti itu.
dan menurut temanku yang pernah katanya ya seperti tindihan gitu. Cuman dia di mimpinya seperti mimpi basah gitu ya, tapi dari segi perempuan karena biasa genderuwo itu mengganggu perempuan. Seperti tindihan, terus dia ketika mereka bangun tuh capek gitu rasanya.
Yeah,
Capek.
I think, but Bruce, this is like more Gandrua is more evil because they are like attack sometime, and then they maybe even like yeah, that's crazy. Like Gandrua, are Gandrua, they not moving that fast. They sometimes just like stand up, and then they if they attack, it came like from it like feel like on a dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like not real like physically to attack, but it's more in the like in the like on the dream, or maybe they just like feel like sleep paralyzed, something like that.
So the people that want to prove, that's been my lifetime. Someone wants to prove that the Bigfoot is real, and of course, it's a typically the proof is, or one of the proofs, and this has never been proven. Okay, we're talking about mystical creatures here. They decide whether or not you're going to prove them or not.
Right.
But a mystical creature for us is one of the ways that they try to prove it is it runs away so fast that it's faster than an ape, it's faster than a human. So it's that idea of some sort of power, mystical power, where it can run away very fast. But they are the worst I ever heard was maybe they would be curious and come to a family house and like look inside, but not go inside, or not to try to scare. So it's not, ours is not very scary.
Yeah.
He looks, he's big and he's 7 foot tall, and he's got hair on his body and he smells terrible. So he's very scary looking, but he's not a person that goes into your to make fear. That's my opinion.
Yeah. That's very interesting that we have been like talking about this Gandrua and skunk apes, and maybe like it's around another part of the world they have on that area, and maybe kind of like have different name too. That's gonna be interesting. We will talk more about that. And before, thank you so much for everyone who joining for Horror Podcast on the 17th. We wanna say to everyone, ada Harsu, Ed Gui, Ponsel Berjalan, Drip, terus ada Galang, terus ada Mets, Harry Potter 89, Billy Maul, ada Freddy, ada Mas Halan Brur, ada Imran Jan, terus ada Mbak Irma, and then Mbak Irma asking, is this what the some of us called it riap-riap? Okay, so that's riap-riap or rap-rapan, we call it sleep paralyzed. And then that we talk about the Gandrua appears in sometime when feel body rap-rapan, or we call sleep paralyzed. Yeah, I think that's the proper answer. And okay, so thank you so much everyone to joining, and then let's go to the Mbak Rama. Mbak Rama, we are like be ready for your story, and okay, mari kita mulai. Bisa pakai bahasa Inggris, bisa dicampur juga, silahkan. Monggo.
Okay, so yeah, actually I have heard someone's experience, and it's about Gandrua too. Yeah, Gandrua too. Can I tell you someone's experience about Gandrua too? Maybe it's a little bit different from what I told you, Mas Garna, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just remembered and realized that my mom has ever experienced that she has ever met such a Gandrua, when she was pregnant of me. Nah, at that time, and briefly, she was sleeping with my father, the same bedroom. My father didn't sleep in the same on the same bed as my mom, because my mom doesn't like my father's smell. It's a little bit it's stinky, and it smells bad. Yeah. So they decided to sleep separately. My mom was sleeping on the bed, while my father was sleeping on the floor, on the carpet, the rug, something like that. Yeah. And when both of them were sleeping, suddenly there was a man resembling my father. And then the man was approaching my mom on the bed. And you know what happened? The man was trying to kiss my mom. Yeah. Fortunately, my mom didn't like my father's smell. So when that man, or that genderuwo, wanted to kiss my mom tended to ignore it. Yeah. And after that, the man was suddenly disappearing, and it was gone. He was gone. He was gone. Okay. So my mom directly realized what happened.
Gila.
Saying that,
Terus seru juga sih.
it's
Silakan. Iya, silakan.
it's not my husband. And it's she started to act like that. Then what is it? Give it to my father and asked him, like, did you come to me and want to kiss me? Yes, he said to my father like that. And my father answered like, no, I was sleeping on the rug or on the carpet. How could I wake up and kiss you? I was so sleepy. My father said like that. Yeah, and ultimately my mom was surprised and a little bit worried. Oh, and then she realized that, oh, that was a mystical beast, mystical thing, something like that, and she directly knew that it must be yeah. Yeah. That
Waduh,
was my
lucu juga ya itu serem.
so yeah, fortunately, my mom didn't want to be kissed by the genderuwo. If she wanted to be kissed by him, I don't know what would happen at the time. I'm afraid that I would not be like a real human now. Maybe because of the genderuwo himself,
Kalau genderuwo tuh katanya gitu, dia menyukai. Jadi biasanya yang diganggu kalau yang perempuan yang dia lebih suka sama perempuan yang badannya lebih berisi.
Maksudnya juga hamil kah atau karena berisi saja atau bagaimana?
Sepertinya hamil iya, dan juga perempuan dengan badan yang agak lebih berisi gitu. Pokoknya biasanya yang kena itu seperti itu. Nah, contohnya temen aku itu juga kebetulan memang badannya dia berisi gitu ya, seksi gitu lah pokoknya, sehingga menarik dia untuk secara seksual untuk tertarik gitu. Kan kalau untuk yang female genderuwo Lele Gombel ya. Lele Gombel itu kan juga punya bentuk badan yang kalau dari ciri-cirinya have a long and big breast.
Yeah, like a long breath, breast.
have a big bodies and messy hair. When I was in Semarang, and this happened about 5 years ago in my old office. Nah, itu juga di daerah Gombel. Karena memang di situ terkenal dengan bebek gombelnya. Kebetulan itu waktu itu lagi COVID. Nah, di kantor itu kan kita suka pakai blower untuk menyemprot disinfektan, Mas Garna. Saya jadi ingat nih cerita dari Gombel ini, menyemprot disinfektan. Nah, pada malam itu OB saya itu disuruh untuk nurunin disinfektan yang ada di kantor yang di daerah Gombel itu, tanjakan Gombel pokoknya ada kantor. Nah, itu tuh kondisinya jam 11 malam lah, jam 11 malam, dan pada saat OB saya nurunin di ruangan itu, kebetulan beliaunya lagi sendirian. Dia tiba-tiba lihat perempuan berdiri di depan dia, rambutnya udah acak-acakan ya, messy hair, and the eyes melotot itu, matanya keluar, terus lidahnya juga panjang, kata dia, lidahnya panjang segini, dia menjulurkan lidah, ya, gitu, dan ini payudaranya gede, panjang sampai ke bawah, dan dia menawarkan payudaranya untuk disusui sama si OB-ku itu. Dan OB-ku tuh pingsan habis itu, Mas Garut.
Itu ngerasa apa ditarawin, terus dia gimana? Apakah pingsan? Apakah dia cuman
Pingsan.
apa? Rasanya seperti nyata gitu. Gimana?
Nyata, memang nyata. Ini nyata. Jadi ternyata mungkin bebek gombel itu dia kebalikannya si genderuwo. Kalau bebek gombel tuh mungkin yang diserang lebih ke laki-laki dan anak-anak kecil. Ya, anak-anak kecil yang suka nakal-nakal itu kan sering ada cerita diumpetin bebek gombel ya. Cuma kan ada juga laki-laki yang juga banyak diganggu sama bebek gombel, dan bebek gombel itu juga sama menggoda secara seksual. Dia menawarkan payudaranya itu untuk menyusui si laki-laki, dan kadang juga mereka sering menyamar seperti perempuan cantik. Pun juga genderuwo juga bisa menyamar seperti tadi Mbak Rahma bilang, bisa menyamar sebagai bapaknya Mbak Rahma. Pernah ada cerita, pernah ada cerita, aku pernah baca ya di website itu, ada perempuan yang dia selalu mimpi basah dan dia senang akan itu. Dia mimpi basah itu katanya dia berhubungan badan dengan laki-laki tampan, dan itu jangka waktunya hampir setiap hari. Kan ini anomali ya, nggak wajar gitu. Dan si perempuan ini lama-kelamaan fisiknya tuh jadi melemah, jadi sering sakit, jadi sering pingsan, dan sometimes juga kerasukan. Setelah diperiksa ternyata dia ditaksir sama genderuwo itu, yang dia menyerupai si laki-laki tampan ini dan mengajak dia berhubungan intim melalui mimpi.
Yeah, you know, my mom has sixth sense, and she was born under, we know Japanese, what is it called? Inborn, Japanese, what's it, date? There are pahing, kliwon,
Like secret date for Japanese.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And those born under kliwon dates tend to have higher sixth sense. Nah, my mom has it, and that's why she experienced something mystical often. And I want to tell you a story. that she has ever met another mystical thing called Gulpacengis, yeah.
Smiling bowl.
Yeah, a smiling bowl. So it doesn't have anybody. It just have what is it? A hat, but it's bald. It doesn't have any hair. It's like smiling.
Only hat.
The way it smiles, hat. Yeah, only hat, and the way it smiles is scary too. Like that. So it's not happy smile. It's like something scary. It try to attack human, try to scare us, something like that. Yeah.
So wait, so is this the head rolling on the ground and like smiling?
Yeah, rolling while smiling, and there was fire too.
Fire.
Yeah, fire. Yeah, it what is it? It produces fire, while rolling. So like fireball, like fireball.
Oh, banaspati. Like banaspati.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but yeah, my lord just told me like that. It smiled, rolled, and produce fire. Yeah, she just saw it, and that thing didn't attack my mom. So maybe it just wanted to show that I exist. Yeah, it just wanted to show my mom that I exist on this earth or in this world, something like that. Yeah, it happened in my old house at the time. Yeah, when my mom was trying to sleep, suddenly she saw such a thing. But she was not afraid or scared. So it was like an ordinary experience for her. Maybe she is used to experiencing it, therefore she is not scared at all. So my uncle lived in my old house at the time when I was still young or baby, if I'm not mistaken. And then when he was sleeping, suddenly there was a thing carrying his body outside the house. Then in the morning, when he woke up, he realized that, why am I here? As I remember, I am sleeping inside and I am sleeping on my bed. Then now I'm here. What happened to me? My other said to himself, and after he woke up, he suddenly saw mystical thing too. Yeah, once again, it's Gundurwo too. So the thing carrying his body was the Gundurwo himself.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. So in my old house, it was creepy actually. There were many mystical things living and existing there.
Yeah. Wow.
But fortunately, I haven't experienced it.
Pak Bruce, do you wanna ask Rahma?
Well, yes, I was just checking. I had not heard of the rolling head before, and I just did a very quick search, and it exists in other cultures. And I think that I had never heard of the rolling head. The one abstract I want to share, it says the rolling head is the ideology of balance and oneness with nature, and it opposes the ideology of separation, manipulation, or domination of nature. So I'm going to have to know more about this role your brother with
Totally.
with that. I guess the thing that I see with this cast today, and I'm very grateful for you all to be doing this, is that when we think about different parts of nature and how we are sometimes separated by these types of mythological mysteries or happenings or feelings of either mythology or mysticism or magic, I hope, and especially in dreams, that it's a way for us to kind of connect with some of the very deep human qualities that we have that are shared among us all. And there's a lot of things now that make us feel separate. So you sharing these stories is very nice because it makes me feel connected, that we all are sharing something that we feel that was a part or a witness, and that we can talk about it. It's just wonderful. So I'm very grateful for this today.
Thank you. I'm so glad to know about Bruce. Yeah, I think every the phenomenon or what you see maybe is like not common to see in the daily life. It could be something. It could be like a nature want to telling us, and then it's just like how we responded. Like they are there with the kind of interesting form, like headless or hairy or any kind of like maybe something cute like a Bigfoot on the postcard. That's a good for to be like we embrace this for as a creativity, as to inspire, as Bruce say, what we can inspire to explore about this world, and then how this world it's work. Sometimes we try to know about this universe, but it's not just about this reality. Maybe in the mysticism, in the out there, we can find ourselves, or maybe we can find something interesting about our life. All right, thank you so much, everybody, and everyone who joining on the Horror Podcast. It's really pleasure, Pak Bruce, to come. Thank you so much, and Mbak Rahma. Terima kasih banyak atas waktunya dan ceritanya. And then terima kasih juga Danisa. Kita senang sekali untuk nanti akan ada podcast berikutnya dengan tema-tema yang lainnya yang jauh lebih menarik. Dan barangkali kalian yang ingin mau turut serta bisa kirim DM ke Danisa atau juga saya, karena nanti kami bisa melakukan live seperti ini untuk menceritakan kisah horor misteri yang dari sana kita bisa belajar tentang kehidupan. Begitu, terima kasih banyak. Sampai ketemu di Horror Podcast berikutnya. Salam, thank you.